first pick.
Alrighty, welcome to another episode of On the Clock. Your Just Baseball home for everything college baseball and MLB Draft. I'm Jared. That's Tyler. We have an incredible guest with us today. We have Roch Cholowsky, the shortstop out of UCLA. Roch, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on. Been following your journey for a while. I know Tyler's probably been following you since your prep days, but just for the viewers who don't know you, just give us a little bit of background on your journey, kind of how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah, so I play shortstop at UCLA currently. Grew up in Chandler, Arizona. I went to Hamilton High School. Got to play around a lot of very talented baseball players growing up, which I think was very, very key for my development. Just kind of always competing with other very high talented baseball players that have gone on to, play professional baseball and also Division I college baseball. But yeah, committed to UCLA as a freshman, stuck with it, happy to stay there. And then finished my first 2 years at school ready for the third.
Yeah, I love that. Talk a little bit about playing the high school baseball in Arizona, right? You were also a two-sport athlete, played quarterback there as well. How did that, being a multi-sport athlete, really kind of influence your leadership, influence your athleticism on the diamond as well?
Yeah, I think the athleticism part was huge. I mean, my parents never held me to one sport growing up.
Yeah,
It was always I was just playing whatever was in season and whatever all my friends were playing. From a young age all the way until I got to high school, when I really had to cut it down just to two. Uh, Basketball was, probably my favorite at the time coming into high school, but it ran into both seasons, so it made most sense to cut that one out. But I thought that playing football in high school, especially at a very, very good high school, helped me a lot
yeah.
athletically and just leadership wise, because we were playing on a national scale football as a football team. And, I mean, nothing really works if all 11 guys aren't doing the same thing or aren't on the same page. And I think that helped me carry it over to baseball as well.
I love it. I have to ask because I played high school baseball in Arizona too. So, what was your favorite school to play?
I loved playing against Corona. Those were
Yeah, that's
usually
what I
my best games.
figured.
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of them, nor so did they like me as much. So, I mean, those were usually the games that I went off.
Yeah, I was on the west side of Arizona. I was at Westview High School, so we didn't have
Okay.
as good of baseball, but the east side was always like way better. We'd go and play there and probably get 10 road and ruled most of the time. So
That's awesome.
it was a good time. Tyler, turn over to you.
So I do want to ask this because I remember that Hamilton Huskies team was pretty loaded your senior year. It was you, Josh Tiedemann, I think Ryan Kucherak was there, who's now the Northwestern shortstop, Zach Wattis. Having those guys as a senior in high school, what was that like? And then obviously going from high school to college and joining a pretty young and pretty exciting UCLA squad.
Yeah, I mean, it was just guys showing up to the field with the same intent every day. It felt like a Division I program. Coach Woods was, pretty hands off. He trusted us and knew that, we all wanted to get better and we'd show up. So he'd have a practice plan and just really make us execute that. But having guys like Ryan, especially, I think Ryan helped me a lot just because, going into the year, the shortstop job was never won. Coach made it very apparent that me and him were competing in the whole offseason to, win that job. So I think just going against him every day was, very, very key to my development. And then having guys like Josh and Zach as well. I mean, those are two guys that, are playing high level baseball right now. And, we all wanted to make each other better. So, I mean, BP groups, working out after practice, it was something that we all, took part in.
Awesome. And then getting to UCLA, obviously the biggest thing that I remember when I saw you as a high schooler was adding more impact to the bat. And very clearly you did that. You look at what you did this past year, 20 plus home runs as a sophomore at UCLA while maintaining the same athleticism you had as a high schooler and being the centerpiece of that infield. What were the biggest changes adjusting to college for you, and what was the main focus once you got to campus in terms of developing yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the main focus was just learning the game. I mean, college is completely different than it is high school. And, I always feel like, the higher IQ players often tend to, get paid out more, guys who really care about the game. So, just learning the game. My freshman year, it took me a while. I mean, I struggled my first 2 months, really got handled. I don't think I was hitting anywhere north of 220 for the first 2.5 months of my freshman year. But the whole development thing, it was, as a high schooler, I'd always kept my swing. I never really tried to produce. My dad had always made it a point to tell me that, power's going to come. I'm going to grow into my body at some point. It's just when that is. So I just tried to make the most fluid, comfortable swing with him growing up, and just kind of sticking with it. Not letting not hitting homers as an 18-year-old affect me. Just confidence wise. Um, but getting to school, getting to work with Coach Ward and Coach Savage. Coach Ward has done a tremendous job helping me with defense. Because I was really just raw growing up. I didn't really work defense as much. It was more so just going out there and taking a lot of ground balls. But working on the mechanics with him has been a huge part of my game the last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, um, trying to think. So another question I want to ask you is this, and I know a lot of people don't really touch on this, but you guys going from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, obviously that's a lot more of a hectic travel schedule. What's been the biggest, success or even like deterrent on that so far? Because I know I'd imagine it has to be a ton of stress, just not only on the field but also in the classroom. But like, how do you adjust to a busy travel schedule like that as a college student?
I mean, they're super helpful with us. You could tell it was more of a switch uh, in the classroom as opposed to on the field. Coach makes it pretty apparent that you can't win the College World Series at home. You have to travel to go do that. So I mean, he doesn't really let us take the travel into effect on the baseball field. He says that we should be just as good on the road as we are at home. But in the classroom, there were times where they sent out proctors to where if guys had tests or assignments that needed to be monitored, we'd have people there for it. And then the teachers did a great job of accommodating to us, like missing a Monday or missing a Friday, whatever it was with the travel. So they made it was a very smooth process switching from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten on that side, just because of how good the school did with it.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad that they were able to make that work for you guys because I remember dreading seeing the announcement, and I was going like, I would absolutely hate being a student athlete. Um, being one myself growing up, and then having to go from like Cali to hey, we got to go to Maryland
Hmm.
and taking red eye flights. So I commend you guys for doing that because I can only imagine how bad that could have been if nothing was as smooth as it was.
Yeah, no, I dreaded it. I mean, the second that the news came out, none of us were really too excited about it. I think that was my junior year when that came out. But I mean, they did a great job of accommodating us all year.
Awesome. And then I wanted to ask you about your USA experience this past year. Far and away, I thought you were the best player there personally. But being around the group of guys that you were with Drew Burris, AJ Gracia, all these higher end talents that you're, you know, congealed with, what was that experience like? And is there anything that you took away learning from some of the other guys or even from some of the USA coaches that have really stuck with you going into your junior year?
Yeah, I mean, there's talent everywhere. We don't really get the opportunity to play a bunch of those guys. I mean, a lot of those guys come from ACC and SEC programs, which we really try and stay on the West Coast and play against our conference guys when it does come. But I mean, I was really impressed with a lot of guys out there, and it just made me want to work that much harder to try and separate myself in the off season, and obviously once the season comes. But there were a lot of guys out there that I was big fans of. I mean, I've said it before. I mean, I'm a big fan of Drew Burris. I love his approach in the box. He doesn't switch up for any pitchers. I mean, he's always going to try and get his A swing off. And he plays a great outfield. He was a guy that I was a big fan of, and then Ace Reese too. Um, but seeing those guys and just trying to stack myself up against them was pretty eye opening for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And conveniently, we had Drew Burris on the pod today too. So I guess fandom is starting. I guess.
Yeah, I was a fan of his.
I love it.
Awesome.
I wanted to touch a little bit kind of on the team and just kind of start with the coaching staff. I worked at baseball ops at the University of Nevada, Reno, and like John Savage is just a legend up there in that area. I think his brother's a head coach at Reno High School.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what it's like to play for him and such like a respected coach in the game.
I mean, it's great. I have a relationship with Coach Savage that I never thought that I would have
Yeah.
coming into school. I mean, I talk to him 2-3 times a week, even now that I'm back home in Arizona, texting, calling, whatever it is. But I mean, he's a very honest guy. He sticks to his word, and I believe that he's one of the last college coaches that's still doing it the right way, developing players. I mean, it's the same spiel to every freshman that comes into our school is that you have a chance to play if you do perform, and that was the case my freshman year with a couple of the guys, and you know just because the honesty that he had and the transparency that it was with guys, who didn't get to play as a freshman, who were impact guys for us this last year. I really think that's why no one left after the freshman year.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a lot of high touted freshmen will come into school, not play right away, and then get out of there wherever they are and go find a different spot. Whereas, we didn't have a single kid transfer from our freshman class, and then we had 8 contributors this past year. So I mean, he's just very stand up guy. He's true to his word, and I just have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, and I love that. And that kind of leads me to the second question. Just you talked about kind of your core group staying together, right? You came in with a recruiting class that was like Roman Martin, Cash Alduga. Like you guys were absolutely loaded. Talk about what it was like to kind of be able to come up with those guys, but stick with those guys and build. Like we think about team chemistry in these days with the transfer portal and like having to like build a new locker room every year. What has that been like? Just being able to have those guys like as you kind of go through this journey together.
I mean, I love it. I mean, the kids that I came in with my freshman
Yeah.
year, 14, 15 of my best friends. Like those are guys that, they'll be at my wedding one day. Like those are guys that I'm going to go on with golf trips in 15, 20 years probably. Um, I mean, just having the same locker room every year and really just it's easy for us to welcome new people just because we're already so tight and we do enjoy bringing new guys in to, join that bond that we have. But I mean, it's also just a really talented group of guys that just really want to get to work every day. And having those guys around me it's super special what we have.
Yeah, I love it. And then you all had such a successful year this year. I know it didn't quite end as like you want to, of course, win the College World Series and things like that. But how do you build off of this year going into 2026 and try to kind of achieve that next step for you all?
It's just experience added.
Yeah,
The freshman year, the guys that did get to play, really used that this past year, and now we got 35 guys in the locker room, 30 guys in the locker room that have been to Omaha and have won a game in Omaha. So a lot of the guys know what it takes to get there, and they're going to hold the new guys accountable to that. And it's just really what we're chasing this year, and just having so much experience, older guys now as opposed to us being all sophomores last year. We now have a bunch of juniors and then some impact younger guys that'll be good for us. Getting to guide them the right way, but it's a super special culture at UCLA, and Omaha is the end goal, and just getting there this past year I think is going to really help us this year.
yeah, and I love that you kind of talked about guiding the younger guys, right? You get a big time name like Angel Cervantes and a bunch of other freshmen who are coming to campus. How have you kind of developed your leadership over the past couple of years to really help those guys? And what's some of the biggest lessons you're kind of teaching them as they come to campus?
I mean, I treat them how I wanted to be treated as a freshman. You
Yeah.
want to learn from the older guys. I mean, being committed to UCLA, I grew up watching them, and obviously the last few years before getting there, you're paying attention more than ever, and you are fans of the guys that are playing. So just getting there and any question that they have, just answering it, and also just hanging out with them off the field. Like I mean, last year in the off season, the first day. That I moved into campus and a few of my other guys that I live with, we had all the guys that were taking summer session, all the freshmen over and played poker one night. And, just kind of started that bond. And then the first day of school, we had a bonfire with the entire team. And, it just really brought together the group from day one. And then just building those connections. I mean, it's not like we're hanging out with the same 5, 6 guys every day. It's, I got new guys over at the house every day hanging out with us. But I mean, the freshmen that are coming in are going to have a really good time just because of the older guys around them.
No, I love it. Tyler, do you have any questions before we kind of dive into the more fun ones?
Um, at the moment, I do not. So let's go ahead and put them on the clock.
Awesome. So we wrap up putting it on the clock. It's because it's on the clock. We're just going to go some rapid fire, more fun questions. First one we got for you is what is the go-to food spot at UCLA?
Go Bop, 100%. It's Korea. It's like a Chipotle style Korean rice bowl.
Oh, that's
Uh,
awesome.
I'm working on trying to get an NIL deal with them. I do eat there like 4 or 5 times a week, so that's been in the works for a little bit. But I'm a big fan of their spot.
They should at least hook you up with like free lunches.
Hope so. Something.
Yeah, I love it. So to get your mind off the field, like what are some of the passions you have away from the game? Do you have to do anything kind of on the mental side? Are there some like activities that you just like to do to kind of get yourself away?
I mean, just being around the guys. I mean,
Yeah,
we're never really alone when we're at school and not doing anything. The good thing is that everyone lives close to each other. So we are always hanging out. But usually I do like on Wednesdays or Thursdays, I do go to the range and hit a few golf balls. try not to think about the baseball swing, get my mind thinking about a different swing.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like when I'm up there in the box, not thinking about my swing is when I'm doing the best. So, just trying to take my mind off of that.
I love it. If you could face one MLB pitcher right now, who would it be?
Paul Skeens, 100%.
Yeah. I feel like that's the answer we get a lot. We get Paul Skeens or Shohei Ohtani. Those are like
I
the
was
top two.
I love seeing like Roman Anthony taking Paul Skeens deep the other day. It was very, very cool for me to watch.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. So if you could build your Mount Rushmore of shortstops, so this doesn't have to be like the top players of all time, but just guys you looked up to or guys you like kind of watched modeling their game. I did ask this once, and like people, I like clipped it, and people took it as like they were supposed to name off the best of all time, and they got so much flack on Twitter. I was like, no, I want this to be like the guys that you've just kind of looked up to.
Guys that I look up to and guys that I try and model my game after. Derek Jeter, I grew up a Yankees fan. Dad's from New York, so I grew up watching the Yanks. Lindor, I've been using his gloves for the last like 4 or 5 years. Dansby Swanson, I was a big fan of his when he was in college at Vanderbilt, and then got drafted to the D-backs and then got traded away, so I was still a fan of his. But I do watch a lot of his videos. He's very big on the one hand fielding at shortstop, and that's something that I have tried to work with. And then Corey Seager too was another guy. Just bigger profile shortstops. I like watching those guys.
Yeah, that's a great list. What's been your favorite moment at UCLA thus far?
Winning the game against UTSA to go to Omaha.
Yeah.
That was the best. I couldn't fathom what was happening. It didn't really feel real until we got on the field in Omaha that it was happening. Those 4 or 5 days after that just didn't really feel real.
I love it. Tyler, you got any more before we go to the last one?
All right, I got to ask this because we asked Burris earlier his opinion on Cookout or In-N-Out. So I know you're a West Coast guy, and I'm an East Coaster. But if you had to choose between the two, which one are you choosing and why?
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I have not had Cookout before.
Okay.
But I am going to Bama this next week to see one of my buddies and watch a football game. And he's told me that he's making sure that I do try it. But it's going to be very hard to switch up on In-N-Out. I'm a huge In-N-Out fan. That's like the go-to spot after our games. So it's going to be very, very hard for me to switch from that.
Okay.
What's the In-N-Out order?
I go, so number one, it's a double-double.
Yeah.
I get no tomatoes or onions. I add pickles. I get the fries animal style with no onions, and then a pink lemonade for the drink.
I love it. Yeah, I grew up West Coast. I like In-N-Out. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I do like it.
I'm a huge In-N-Out fan. I will die by In-N-Out.
I love it. Last one I got. So what was the walkout song in 2025? Will it be the same in 26?
Okay. Yeah, so it's Feel So Good by Mace. I had it my freshman year. I did want to switch it, but I'm very superstitious. So I didn't let myself switch it this past year, and I cannot switch it after this past year. So it will be the same, and I will ride with it no matter what throughout the whole year.
I love it. That's awesome. Roch, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us on the Clock. We know you got a busy schedule, busy year. Things are kicking off in the fall. We're going to be watching. We're wishing you all nothing but the best, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.